As we start now the new cycle, you see the title. The title says Noah's 7 Law and the Book of Genesis. I reversed the order. In the last class, we said Book of Genesis and the 7 Commandments. Here I put the 7 Commandments first and the Book of Genesis. Why? Because what defined for Noahide, what defined you and what defined the Noahide movement more than anything else is the understanding and the support of the following of the Noah 7 laws. So Noahide are not required, not expected to know how to, what kind of flour to bake the Passover matzah. That's not Noah's business, Noahide business. Noahide are not expected to know how to enthrone the king of Judea, or how to, what kind of clothes the high priest should wear, or all kind of esoteric. Noahide are not supposed to know esoteric questions. What about the soul in next life? Or what does it, all kind of questions that are interesting and nice to know, but that's not what Noahide is all about. The message what defines the Noahide movement as such is the Noahide 7 Commandments. It actually looks quite weird, I would say, if a Noahide, which I met in the past, I met people like that, met quite a lot. People who present themselves as Noahide, and they know a lot about all kind of esoteric Gemara and Kabbalah and all kind of things. But if you ask them, tell me please, what is bloodshed? What is idolatry? What is adultery? Oh, what do you mean? Oh, I asked them, what is the 7th commandment all about? Oh, 7th commandment, the kind of, that's Noah. Yeah. But they don't know, I see that they have no feeling what Noah is all about. So there are things that interesting, very extremely important for Jews or for Israel, and there are things that are extremely important for Noahide. And of course, Israel is only a certain type of Noah. Noahide actually, the children of Noah encompasses the entire humankind today. Every person is a son of Noah. After the flood, Noah became the new Adam. But we are not just as children of Noah because physically, genetically, we come from him. That's not the story. We are related to Noah, or the movement at least, is a claim to attach to follow Noah, to be called the children of Noah proudly because of Noah's faith, because of what Noah's teaching, and because of the Rainbow Covenant, that we still live under the covenant today. If we don't abide by the Noah covenant, the flood will return, according to the Bible. So Noah, understanding the 7th commandment of Noah is what makes you as a member of as every member of the Noahide movement unique, especially unique from Israel. That's what makes you as a movement. So if somebody asks Noahide, what is your message to us? What is your message to mankind? So the answer is, we pray that all mankind follow Noahide commandment. That's it. Not more, not less. That's the message of Noahide movement. That's why I put here on top the first on the headline of the course is the Noahide 7 commandment. This is a primary important for every Noahide to understand the Noahide commandment, where they come from, who told them, what do they mean, and so on. If a Noahide doesn't know that, it looks really weird. So that's the first top part of the title. Then I added the book of Genesis. Why? Because during my long teaching, so many years, I've been teaching classes of the 7 Commandments and Genesis, and slowly it occurred to me that the book of Genesis actually is built up, present the Noahide 7 Commandments one by one. There is a methodology in the book of Genesis. It's a plan. It was given us with wisdom of God or through Moses, but it present a Noahide commandment one by one. So, in fact, I'm talking about the entire book, although the flood occupied only a small portion at the beginning, and the Rainbow Covenant is only at the beginning of the book, but the entire book of Genesis actually deal with the 7 commandments one by one. So the book of Genesis is yours. Is a book, the charter of Noahide movement. So the entire book of Genesis belongs, so to speak, to Noahide movement. It's yours. How, and you will see how in a minute. It took me a long time to realize that. The wisdom is there. The Rabbi said this and this, but to see the great picture, you couldn't see the great picture unless you were teaching and thinking about the 7 commandments, and suddenly it popped up to you that actually the stories are all follow the wisdom and of God introducing to us the 7 commandments one by one. I'll show you how in a minute why we did it in the last class, but maybe this time I'll emphasize it a little more. Like what? For instance, we all know that from the 7 commandments, 6 were given to Adam in Eden. They are the idolatry, adultery, bloodshed, theft, injustice, and blasphemy. 6. They were given as a package to Adam and Eve in Eden at the same time, and God told them not to eat from the fruit. So the same time, Adam and Eve also got the 6th commandment. So it occupies only 1 verse, 2 verses. But ask yourself now, talk about idolatry. Where in the Bible idolatry would appear the first time ever? Idolatry means actually worshiping idols or making an error and replacing God with an idol. and as opposed to believing in God and understanding God. So there are two. Idolatry means the negative part and positive part. Negative part means I should not replace God with another deity. It's a negative, and positive, but I should worship something. So what I should worship? I should worship God. So where is the first time in the Torah that the name of God appear? And the answer is very simple. Chapter number 1 in Genesis. The chapter number 1 introduces God as a creator, also the name of God, the different names. And at the same time, when God is introduced the first time, he speaks in plural, and let us make Adam, which is, according to Rashi, according to Talmud, this is when he speaks in plural, he opened the door for idolaters, for idolatry to exist. So we got an answer. Where in the book of Genesis idolatry appear the first time, you got the answer in chapter 1. In fact, as you will see, as we've seen last time, we see it again, the whole book, the whole chapter elaborate in unbelievable detail and beautiful detail, a beautiful description of what the idolatry is all about. Once you understand that, you really understand what number 1 commandment of Noah, idolatry, is. You cannot understand it without really looking at chapter 1 of Genesis, knowing who is God and who are the idols. All that is in chapter 1. Let's move now to commandment number 2, adultery. Well, adultery, you need a man and a woman. So where is the first time you think in the Bible that adultery should appear? And the answer is very simple. At the moment the woman was, I call her woman, not Eve, because in Eden she was called a woman. So when a man, Adam, and a woman were formed in Eden, the right away, the Torah says, therefore a man should leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, means marriage is introduced, and become one. Marriage introduced, become by one family by marriage. And at the same time, it says a person should leave his father, which means his father's wife, his mother, means sexually leave his mother and daughters and his granddaughter and daughters, and cleave to his wife, not somebody else's wife. So here you have in the same verse, both miraculous way, you see adultery presented the first time ever, immediately as the Eve or the woman is formed, right away there is marriage, and right away in the same verse, you have adultery. Think about it, what kind of wisdom it is. Only godly wisdom can do that. Think about the whole situation. This is the first time the woman is born, added to man, and right away you have in one verse the introduction of marriage and adultery. So we got adultery, number 2, commandment of Noah, presented by the story of Eden. So as we move through the book of Genesis, we see now that we move from idolatry, now chapter 1, number 1, to adultery and the story in Eden. And of course, the story in Eden is it's an awesome story. And everything that it says about in the book of in the story of Eden, it revolves actually around love. What is love? What is sexual promiscuity? What's wrong with going naked? Shame from nakedness, shame from promiscuity, and where it comes from. So the whole story of sexual promiscuity and love, as opposed to pure love, is all there. It's all there. So if Noahide is stopped by the street and somebody asks you, tell me, Noahide, well, what about adultery? Oh, so the answer is, read the story of Eden. It's there. Now we move on to number 3, or the Torah move us to number 3. Now the question is, where is the first bloodshed ever done or conducted in the Torah? It is not in chapter 1, which is a story of creation. It's not in the book, in the story of Eden. There was no killing there. But right away, as they were driven out to live on earth, the first chapter, the first few verses after being deposed and thrown to earth, right away Cain stand up and kill Abel, the first murder, which means bloodshed. So the Torah now moves us from adultery, which is number 2, to bloodshed, number 3. So there is a plan here. If somebody doesn't see the plan, he is blind. There is a plan. The book is written in a way that is presenting us the Noahide 7 commandments, now one by one. How can somebody ignore it or not be aware of it? So, and the story of bloodshed is an awesome story. It's a long story. It starts with Cain and Abel, and through the generations. So all the stories about the generation after Cain and Abel all revolve somehow around the bloodshed, culminating in the flood, but and the rainbow covenant that Noah survive. And what is all rainbow covenant? The law of bloodshed. So it started with Cain and Abel, and ending, starting with Cain and Abel, and ending in the rainbow covenant. So what is a rainbow covenant that all Noahide should abide by? It's bloodshed. Simple, the bloodshed, promising that to stop bloodshed in a war. And that's why Noah added commandment number 7, which is forbid us to eat blood and to be cruel to animal, like cutting limb from a living animal and cruelty. But so it means teaching us to be more merciful and to stay away from bloodshed. At the same time, rainbow covenant, God give Noah all the 7. Tell us everything about we need to know about bloodshed, which means how to eat meat, how to kill animal, to eat what kind of animal we should eat, and how He allow us to do bloodshed for eating. He allowed Noah to do that, but in a way that to remind him to control himself and not to be cruel. And then he goes to men bloodshed, men killing himself, suicide, and then he goes to indirect killing, direct killing, through mercenaries, we learn it, or we will learn it again, all the type of bloodshed, including abortion, and including terminating life of a person who is ill, merciful killing. All that is there, and culminating in the order. Whoever shed blood of a man, by man should his own blood be shed, which means to the permission to the court, human court, to execute a killer. There is a permission. So and that's the Rainbow Covenant that control control our life. That we all Noahide, all the children of Noah should abide by. If we don't abide by the Noahide covenant of Rainbow Covenant, and if we start killing ourselves with atomic bomb, and the flood will come. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe next time the flood will be flood of fire instead of flood of water. But we are still on contingency. So what is the message of Noahide to the world? Be careful. Peace. That's part of. If you don't know that, if somebody asks you what's the message of Noahide, this is it. Not only idolatry from chapter 1. We should not worship idol. We should worship the true God. Commandment number 2, adultery from Eden, and now bloodshed from Abel and Cain killing Abel until Noah. But the story is so deep, and when you read it, right now I'm just going over superficially over the story, just the headline. But the truth is when you deep into the stories and you start to analyze them, and you see that the magnitude of each story, how deeply it goes. And for instance, take the story of bloodshed, let's say. It's not just don't kill. It tells you what the reason of killing, how to control it, how the hatred, take Cain and Abel, how God tell him the sin is sitting on your heart. You can close your heart for it. God warns it, and the reason is the jealousy for God, not the jealousy for real estate and power, because Cain and Abel had each one had half of the world for himself. But the jealousy, who is going to be the favor of God? That's enough to kill each other, just jealousy. So if you go to the story step by step and you analyze Noah, what is Noah? Noah is not only Rainbow Covenant for beside the bloodshed. The heavenly court is described there, and the heavenly court, Noah believed, was the only one in his generation that believed in oneness, in God oneness. We'll see what it means. So, and that saved him. And it's beautiful stories about Nama, his wife. We need to know, Noahide should be keenly aware of those, knowledgeable about those stories, because this could constitute the Noahide movement. The story of Noah's life, the story, what made him unique, why was he so righteous, and what is the difference between him and his wife? And she came from Cain, he came from Shet. What was the difference between them? They were not supposed even to marry each other. So the story, once you dive into those stories and you understand what happened there, it consolidates your understanding what Noahide message to the world is, because that's oneness. Oneness of God. Once you understand the relationship between Nama and Noah, you understand what oneness is. Amazing. Amazing. We'll talk about it. So again, now the Torah took us or takes us to number 3, which is bloodshed. Well, we have 6 to go. In Eden, Adam got, beside the first 3, adultery and bloodshed. He got also theft, number 4, injustice, number 5, and blasphemy. So theft. Now I'm asking you now, where in the first, who is the first one in the Bible that is described as is so particular about purchasing, ownership? He pay money for land. He is redeeming. He fight against slavery. He fight against empires who come and rob each other land. And he called God the owner of anything. If he owns anything. So his passion of his life was against theft. Who is that man? Abraham. So right after we finish with Noah, while Noah is still alive, by the way, Abraham popped up. The story of Abraham is still coming up. And amazingly, what the Torah is telling us about Abraham, story by story by story by story, all of them revolve around that issue of theft, abduction, and fighting against stealing. He doesn't want to share anything with King of Sodom and Gomorrah because he's a thief. I don't share with you even a shoelace or whatever, he says there. And he calls God the owner of anything. For Abraham recognized the first one who recognized God as the owner, which was something new. So Abraham fought against theft in big time. Circumcision. I am a slave to God, he owns me. So here again is an example how the Torah takes us now from 3 of Noah to 4 of theft through Abraham. It is not true that Abraham was the first one to recognize Judaism. What about Noah? What about Anna? What about the predecessor of Noah? What about of course, in his generation, in Abraham's generation, he was the only one who recognized the monotheism. But but Noah actually, he met Noah, and Noah taught him the 7 commandments. And Abraham became an avid prophet of God, a zealot for God, and he fought against theft. Theft in big time. Theft not in stealing a small thing on the street. Theft in a term of abduction, of abduction, of slavery and empires in a big time. Abraham fought theft in that fashion. The concept of God as the owner. If he's owner, he owns everything, then theft is actually violating his God's right, and so on. I'm a slave to God, he owns me. So nobody else can. If God owns me, nobody else owns me. I cannot be slave to anyone. A Hebrew slave is not a slave. He only sells his work to his master, but his body is free. A huge difference between what considers slavery in the world and what the Bible recognizes as a Hebrew slave, which is simply a worker who sold, his master bought his work for 6 years, and then he sent him free. Okay, so we got now number 4 behind us, and you can see that Abraham got one more commandment, number 8, which is a correction of violating 4. Okay, 4 is theft. To correct, because he fought against violating 4, he got 8, number 8. So so the new one, circumcision, is only came to correct the violation of number 4. And now we move on to number 5, which is injustice. And I'm asking you right away, tell me please, where is the first time ever a person in the Bible is described as fighting for the right compensation for his work? Not for God, not for the sake of the faith. He is fighting, struggling to be compensated for his work. He is fighting against violating the treaty. He promised, he was promised something. Laban promised him his daughter for 7 years, and then he cheated him. Not cheat him religiously. He cheat him in civil order, in civil rights, in justice, on a civil level. Now the story of Jacob. The story of Jacob, one by one, they're all about what? Civil order and justice, which is number 5. His daughter is abducted and violated by the city mayor. That's violation of the civil right. So Jacob, the life story of Jacob revolves again around number 5 now, around civil right and justice. And his name, by the way, is changed to Israel. Now you know what Israel is all about. Israel is the main task of Israel. Comes out. The definition of Israel is a nation who fights for justice. Wow, I don't think there is a better description of Israel history as mistreated by lies and by false claim and misunderstanding and injustice. This is a life story of Jacob, and that's a life story of Israel. Until today, everything we do is depicted as something bad and distorted and completely taken out of context and used against us. Israel's fate is to fight against not for God, but for justice. It's amazing. They come out because here it is. His name of Jacob, who fight for justice. He changed his name to Israel. and so on. So what I'm saying here, as you can see, just from the surface, how each chapter, each story, each part of the story of Genesis is an awesome. You go, as we go in our classes from one commandment to the other, one story through the book of Genesis, it come out, it pop out the magnitude of it, the historical magnitude, the implication. It's enormous. The stories are enormous implication. It's biblical proportions. We're not talking about the story of an author, Tolstoy or Weinberg, or, I don't know. It's not a humor. It's something that you cannot find it in any other literature. There is no other literature you can take a piece of the chapter and read it in depth, and finally you discover a whole universe in just few chapters. It explains history, it explains everything in that context. So each story, as the Torah moves from one commandment to another, it also give you an enormous insight to what is behind and what is in the future. So we after Jacob, which is number 5 now, the last one is a blasphemy. In Eden, Adam got 6. The last one was blasphemy. So here comes the Torah, and after the story of Jacob, what comes next? The story of Joseph. There is no story of blasphemy in the world equal to the story of Joseph. How can a family like that, a royal family of Jacob, the children of Abraham and Isaac, the descendant, the pillar of faith, when they misbehave and treat such awfully the own brother and throw him to the pit and then sell him to a sex slave, that's blasphemy. Blasphemy is not only cursing God. Blasphemy, as it turned out, the blasphemy is actually when a righteous person misbehaves, it causes other people to mock the Torah. He says, oh, you see, the Torah didn't help him. Oh, this Jacob, as much great as he was, the grandson of Abraham, it didn't help them, they threw the son. So it means, not only it means that they misbehave, it means that the Torah didn't stop them. Which is, so it means the Torah is diminishing, their action diminishing the glory, the honor of the Torah, staining the glory, and that's blasphemy. Everything, if a normal person does something like that, well, people are bad and good, but if a person is known to be righteous, known to be full of Torah and learning, a righteous person, if he misbehaves, that shed light on the Torah that he learned. People who actually despise the Torah didn't help him. So that's blasphemy. So the whole story of Joseph is blasphemy, and how the family had recovered from it. Recovered from it until, and the story continue, actually the blasphemy continue also in Egypt. The children of Israel actually worship idol in Egypt. And finally, in Sinai, the story finished when Israel got back to the holiness. The blasphemy is gone from them. So here in a survey like that, you see that the Torah takes us through the commandment one by one, and I realized that when slowly it came to me, when I when I taught these classes that I gave in the past to talking about Abraham, talking about this, finally I said, wow, Abraham is fighting against theft. Wow, Jacob is fighting against injustice. Wow, Joseph is a blasphemy. Wow, Noah is fighting for bloodshed, against bloodshed, and all rainbows for bloodshed. So turn out that, as I said, the book of Genesis is yours. Is a book written for Noahide. Whoever wrote it, which means Moses, inspired by God, wrote it in a particular way. Wrote it following the commandment one by one, because he wanted to make the book of Genesis as a core, as a basic, as a platform for the Noahide movement. And so as much as Noahide love to learn Torah, and above the seventh commandment, you have to learn what happened at the temple. You have to learn from the book of Leviticus and the book of Numbers. You should. I mean, why not? But in your mind, you always ask yourself, what is that for me? What is it? Because there are messages there also for me, for always a message for Noahide too. So when you hear such classes about the temple, about the sacrifice, about this and that, it's beautiful stuff, but what is that for me as a Noahide? And your point of view is different from the point of view of Israel. What fascinates Israel may not exactly fascinate you. And you should develop this approach, it looked to me natural, that you hear the story, you hear the Kabbalistic story, you read Midrashim, you read the prophecies, but you always ask, what is that for me? What do I learn from them? Do that for me as a Noahide who abide by the seventh commandment? And what is the message that I want to deliver to the rest of mankind? We want all mankind to follow the seventh commandment. We want all mankind to understand the book of Genesis. Of course, they need to understand the entire Torah, but what is relate to the soul, what is a message, what is mankind all about, is that the book of Genesis will be on their mind, and they will know what the seven commandments are. And here again, before I finish today, I want to mention another thing. What is all seven commandments? Why should mankind be aware of it? And obviously said it last time, I said it again, I say it again. Because in the same way, to listen to that. In the same way that mankind is described in the book of Genesis, stumbling from one commandment to the other, okay? Mankind, through the whole book of Genesis, take you from a journey through the seventh commandment, from idolatry to adultery, to bloodshed, to theft. There is a journey here over generations. That's how we describe. Man can stumble and move on from one commandment to another. You know what? Each one of us does it every day. we are encountering those commandments one by one every day. If you don't believe in God, if you're an idolater, surely you will fall a prey to adultery. Surely. The next thing, a person who does believe in God, the first thing he will do, he will fall a prey to adultery. Next, he have an affair. Nothing will stop him. Nobody is watching him. He will have an affair. And once you have an affair, there is no danger you fall prey to bloodshed. What happened? You discovered, and this offended spouse will run after you with a knife, with a pistol. Or once you plan to get rid of the spouse there, that's on your way. Bloodshed is very commonly after adultery, anger and bloodshed. And if you steal his wife, why don't you steal somebody's property? I saw it happening. I saw a couple like that. There are many, but that the adulterous wife not only had a relationship with another man while her husband was in the hospital working as a physician, but she supported her lover store for years. And her husband didn't pay attention how the money that he earned goes to support the lover. Theft. And then they come to, finally when they discover, they come to the court. There was a big injustice. She hired a big lawyer who made fun of the husband, and she didn't have to pay anything. It was injustice. And this was great blasphemy. So here is just to give you a sense how the commandments are there to trap us every day, one by one. It's like a cascade. You follow. You violate one, the other one is waiting for you. You violate the second one, the third one will waiting for pop up and challenge you. You commit adultery, bloodshed will follow up, and so on. So the command, in the same way that humanity is kind of stumbling through the book of Genesis from one commandment to another, as we just seen. Every one of us, every human being is facing the same challenge, the same cascade in his own life. You can start in the middle of the cascade, you can start at the beginning of the cascade, but once you start it, you will fall down. No, surely they will face you. The challenge will face you one by one. So that's the important psychological, and we are built like this. Okay, so all that, it was just introduction to our classes. From now on, and God willing, we'll do what we did last time, but we go now from one commandment to another through the book of Genesis, and trying to draw for us all the conclusion we can have about idolatry. What is idolatry all about? We'll find out that chapter number 1, there is no other place in the Torah, in the entire Bible, will tell you what idolatry is. But chapter 1 will. In an unbelievable, beautiful way, deep way. Nobody will tell you about idolatry better than the story of Eden, and so on. So we'll go from one commandment to the other until we run the course, God willing. And then we start again. because every time you learn the cycle, you learn more. I'm sure that somebody watching us, joining our class, will grab it. But those of us who've seen it before, now when we go the second time, you appreciate it more. It always works like that. When I learned of Gemara, Talmud, the first time I read it, I struggled with it. I don't understand it. Many holes. The first time I read the page of the Bible, of the Talmud. Then I go the second time. And the second time, suddenly I discovered that many of the black holes are now closed. I understand it better. And I read it easier. When the third time when I read it, wow, now I understand also not only the issues, but I enjoy the context, how the Talmud brings the issues. Why did this rabbi ask this question at this particular point? And I understand the context. I enjoy deeply that I could not the first time. And so is the same thing when you do with our classes with our Torah. Whatever those who were, most of you were last year. Now, as we go it again, many obstacles that you had before are gone now. You understand better what I'm saying, and suddenly many black holes will close. And God willing, if we have time to go the third time, wow, then it pop up even better. It happened to me. I was dealing with this for 20 years. So it didn't come to me like in one shot. All right, any question for me before we finish today?